Okay, so picture this with me. You've got a small business, right? But you're not in like some bustling tech hub. You're in rural Zimbabwe. What are some of the challenges that come to mind?
Limited resources, probably. Definitely the digital divide we hear so much about.
Yeah.
Maybe unreliable internet access.
Exactly. It's a world away from what we usually imagine when we talk about like cutting edge AI, right?
Yeah.
But that's precisely why this deep dive is so fascinating.
Yeah, this isn't our usual stomping ground.
We've got this piece from Newsday Zimbabwe, and the title immediately caught my eye. Mutsvangwa urges AI adoption for SMEs growth. And full disclosure, when I first saw it, I thought Zimbabwe, what's the connection? But as I started reading, it became clear that this is about way more than just one country. It's about this global wave of AI and like who gets to ride it.
And, crucially, how?
Right. And right off the bat, the article dives into how Zimbabwe's Minister for SMEs, Monica Mutsvangwa, is making a case for AI adoption. But, and this is key, she's not just talking about it, she's talking about actual government support to make it happen. What'd you make of that?
Huge signal, isn't it?
Yeah.
When you have a government putting its weight behind something like AI, it says a lot. It shows they see it as crucial for economic growth, not just some tech trend that'll fade away.
Totally. And I think that kind of backing is probably especially important for small businesses, right? Who might be a little hesitant to just jump into using totally new technology.
Absolutely, it's a risk.
For sure. And the article doesn't shy away from the challenges either. Like, it straight up says that Zimbabwean SMEs often lack access to the tech and the know-how to really use AI effectively.
Well, yeah, it's like telling someone to bake a cake, but not giving them an oven. Or even ingredients, really.
Perfect analogy. And that's something we encounter in various forms no matter where we look, right? This whole digital divide thing.
Oh, absolutely.
Yep.
Global issue, not just a Zimbabwean one. Even in places where, on the surface, it seems like everyone's got access. There are communities, businesses.
Yeah.
They're getting left behind. No reliable internet, no clue how to use the latest tech. So are we really saying AI is for everyone? It's a big question. And even if you solve the access problem, right, there's a whole other layer of complexity here.
Totally. It's like, okay, you've got the tools, but are you using them responsibly? And this is where the article gets really interesting, I think. It quotes the director of this big international tech expo, right? And they're basically saying, hey, policymakers, we need to make sure these AI regulations are inclusive, accessible, everyone's got a seat at the table. But then they don't actually define what ethical AI means.
Which is smart, actually, because there's not going to be one definition that fits everyone, is there?
Not a chance. So, like, for our listener, thinking about that entrepreneur we talked about, what are some of the ethical concerns they might have about AI?
Okay, so imagine you're that business owner. You need a loan to expand. Are you confident that the bank isn't using some AI system that's unfairly biased against you?
Hmm?
Maybe because of where you are, the size of your business?
It's like we talk about AI leveling the playing field, but it could just as easily solidify existing inequalities if we're not careful.
Exactly.
And this is happening now, by the way, dear listener. This isn't some like sci-fi future. This is real life.
Real people, real consequences, and that's why those regulatory frameworks are so crucial. Data security, transparency in how algorithms make decisions, accountability. These are all things we need to figure out.
And it's fascinating to see it play out in a place like Zimbabwe, right?
Yeah.
Because they're kind of on the front lines of this whole thing.
It's like a microcosm of a much bigger trend. Developing economies, often with less of that legacy infrastructure to hold them back, they're becoming these testing grounds. How do you integrate AI in a way that's both innovative and responsible?
And speaking of testing grounds, it was really interesting to see the article mention all these international exhibitors at that tech expo in Zimbabwe. So it's not just local interest. AI's potential in these developing economies, it's got everyone's attention. It's almost like we're seeing a paradigm shift, you know?
Yeah.
This idea of AI not being exclusive to like Silicon Valley, but something that can empower a small business owner in Zimbabwe, a farmer in India. It's exciting, isn't it?
Absolutely. And this concept of leapfrogging they talk about, it's so intriguing.
Yeah, explain that.
So think about it, right? A lot of these developing economies, they're not bogged down by like outdated infrastructure. So in some ways, they might actually be in a better position to adopt these new technologies.
Like a clean slate
Yeah.
almost, yeah.
Exactly. And the article actually touches on that, saying AI could be huge GE for accelerating productivity, especially in countries facing, economic challenges like Zimbabwe.
Makes sense. Makes you think if AI can do that there, imagine the potential in other places, right? Even like closer to home for our listener.
Right. It's not just about Zimbabwe.
Not at all. It's about this much bigger question of how AI can be used to empower people everywhere. Well, this has been a fascinating deep dive.
It really has.
From a small business in Zimbabwe to, well, who knows what the future holds. Thanks for joining us, everyone, and we'll catch you on the next deep dive.